It's not only taking a child from your home, it's making you feel less of a mother because you can protect your child. It's making you feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to, or you're being punished because at the moment you're not rich. So at that moment, all I had left was to cry.
Jessica Perez's son was just 16 years old when he was sent to New York City's notorious jail on Rikers Island because his family couldn't afford to pay $250,000 bail. Pedro Hernandez spent a year awaiting trial on Rikers for an attempted murder charge. His case garnered widespread news coverage because many thought he was wrongly imprisoned.
Pedro Hernandez spent a year in New York's Rikers Island prison on attempted murder charges.
But he's stuck at Rikers, and they set his bail at $250,000.
This 17-year-old witness told us cops in the 42nd precinct pressured him to lie and identify Hernandez as the shooter.
Hernandez was eventually released when a human rights organization paid his bail for him. And all charges were later dismissed when contradicting evidence was introduced and witnesses stopped cooperating.
I want to thank Private Investigator Manuel Gomez. Thanks to my family, thanks to RFK. I'm going to be going on to college and starting a new life.
In New York, if you are accused of crime, you go before a judge and the judge sets bail. If you're wealthy, you pay the bail and you go home to your family. If you're living in poverty and you don't have enough resources to make bail for the exact same crime, you're not going home. You get sent to Rikers Island.
In his first formal interview since leaving Rikers, Hernandez is beginning to speak out publicly, he says, to lend his voice to national efforts to change unfair bail practices and end wrongful imprisonment.
Day-to-day Rikers was like being a victim of something every day. Correctional officers' brutality, they will beat you, they twist your wrist, put the handcuffs super tight to where they cut your wrist. I had 30% of my vision lost in Rikers Island due to the pepper spray, and it was just like everything in there was scary, it was hard. It was a dramatic change for me from the streets. My childhood was stolen from me. I was just a kid, liked to play basketball, baseball, ride a lot of bike. It was not the right place for me to be in, knowing that I was innocent and I didn't do what they were charging me with.
I visited with Hernandez's mother and brother to understand the impact that this has had on them.
The DA looks at the judge and say, we are requesting this because we believe that he's a gang member. We believe that he has many ties to other things and that his family got money. We woke out the court in tears. He just turned around. He was hoping he was coming home that day. It was already 5 days in Rikers. That was the beginning of you could say hurricane that went through my home. They not only keeping him in there for something he didn't do, but they now they putting a high bail, so I won't be able to bail him out like I did in previous times.
Cash bail is something that destroys families from beginning to end, and it literally can take people's lives away. It literally can break up an entire family and make a family lose hope, and it's nothing that really is helpful for any community, which is why we need the bail reform that we do.
Nationally, there are an estimated 465,000 people sitting in jail awaiting trial because they can't afford to bail themselves out and prepare for trial. In New York City, only about 12% of defendants make bail. According to an analysis by the Institute for Innovation and Prosecution, over half of people in jail reported income levels below the poverty line, making it less likely that they can afford to make bail. African American and Latino defendants are also more likely to be denied bail than white defendants who have committed the same crimes.
Our bail system is broken. In this state that portrays itself to be liberal, it's particularly broken. We don't consider the means of the individual when setting bail. So $250,000 to Pedro is telling him he has no bail. And so that's the setting with Pedro, that's the setting with many people. And they remain on Rikers, and they don't get a fair opportunity to defend themselves. And they're trapped sort of in their own bodies and minds, awaiting a day that they often never get.
To my mind, there is no responsible removal of cash bail without sweeping legislative and policy change. In order to minimize or stop the use of cash bail, it's absolutely critical that jurisdictions expand their access to supervised release services. But that is absolutely necessary in order to make sure that public safety is still at the forefront of how this is handled.
There was a possibility that you could have taken a plea deal that would have let you out of Rikers. Why did you make the decision not to take that plea deal?
So I'm not gonna plead guilty to something I did not do. I was innocent the whole time. I told the district attorney that. I told the judge. They keep making me offers that I didn't want to take. I told them I'm gonna stand my grounds and I'll just fight my battle. It's like, I don't feel like you should pay your way for freedom. That's like holding somebody for ransom.
Some states and local jurisdictions are now starting to change the bail system. In August, California Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill that will eliminate bail effective October 2019, making his state the first in the country to do so. Last year, New Jersey enacted a law that eliminated bail for most criminal defendants. And nationally, a handful of other states, including New York, New Mexico, and Kentucky, are moving towards policies that explore alternatives to bail. What do you think needs to happen in order for what happened to you to not happen to another kid?
Stay strong, don't let the system break you, and do what you have to do to deserve your day in court.